Welcome to Stoic Live, where we talk about the latest fishing and hunting topics.
All right, man. Let's try this again. We are live, Facebook and on YouTube, man. I've been wanting to do a quick little live stream for those that follow the YouTube channel, man. I know it's been a while since I posted, but man, when I'm off, I've been hanging out with the family. And I haven't been fishing as much as I would like, but I went fishing about a month ago. So I finally got a couple of videos edited and they should be pushing out here on YouTube pretty soon. But man, this is one of my favorite times of the year, guys. Right around the end of November, December, January, when it gets a little bit cold, I really enjoy fishing for big speckled trout. And there's actually a few people that fish in the general area that I fish for speckled trout, and they've always asked me, hey man, can you give me some tips and tricks when fishing for these big trout? So I wanted to really okay, cool. Now we are live on YouTube. We're good to go. Live on Facebook. So then the number one thing, man, whenever I tell people if you're gonna be wade fishing or fishing in general for big speckled trout, I always tell people, for me at least, I always downsize my lures. Let me lower the music a little bit. I always downsize my lures. A lot of people out there that like throwing the bigger lures, the bigger profile for big speckled trout. But man, I've caught a lot of 28-inch, 29-inch, not dirty 30 since I was a kid. But I always catch big speckled trout on throwing something like this. Small little morsel, man. A small little appetizer for those big speckled trout. Some people like throwing corkies. Some people like throwing 6-inch lures, 7-inch lures. That's cool. But what I like to do, man, throw a 3.5-inch, something small little profile, small little dart. If you really want, man, if those speckled trout are finicky, take off the ribs. Take off the ribs for this lure. And it's going to shrink it down even more. It's going to be like that. Trying to get it so it can focus. It's going to be a small little appetizer for those big speckled trout. Down here in South Texas, man, they are heavily pressured. What's up, brother? What's up, 5 Gil? It's been a while, man, I know. But they are heavily pressured. So you think about it, bro. If you're a big speckled trout and you've seen lures all day, or you've seen someone throw big corkies or big paddle tails or big lures, and then you see something like this come in front of you, I would hammer it if I was a fish, right? But that's just a quick tip, man. I always downsize my lures. Do what you want, but for me, down here in South Texas, heavily pressured speckled trout, I like throwing something small. What's up, big dog? I like throwing a smaller profile. And the second tip for you guys is always slow down your retrieve. If you're throwing an 1/8 ounce, actually I like throwing 1/4 ounce jig heads whenever I'm fishing for big speckled trout, because I want that lure to hit the bottom, especially if I'm throwing the Bay Villain, something smaller. That 1/4 ounce jig head is going to drop a little bit faster than that 1/8 ounce jig head will, and it will get into that strike zone a little bit faster. And as you can see in this picture right here, I'm throwing the purple goblin. Dark water, green water. I like throwing something dark. Blue flakes, black flakes, silver flakes. This thing's going to get the attention. Also got the little chartreuse tail for a little razzle dazzle. And whenever you're fishing, as you can tell behind right here, that picture of that trout, look at that water. It's a little bit dark, but there's actually a lot of current. So when you're throwing a 1/4 ounce jig head, it's going to sit to the bottom a little bit faster. It's going to have a faster drop, and it's going to have a faster drop, and it's going to sit in that strike zone a little bit longer, because once it hits the bottom, I like to wait. 1, 2, pop. Wait a little bit, let that lure dance and go down nice and slow and hit to that bottom where that trout is going to be chilling at. Bro, the medium shrimp has done wonders for me in the last couple of tricks. That's what I'm talking about, bro. A Ned rig, right? The Ned shrimp. So the shrimp that you're throwing, obviously it's a little bit smaller, right? It's a smaller profile. So this guy can attest that shrinking your profile or downsizing your lure is what those big speckled trout or even those big redfish want sometimes, because they're seeing lures all day. They want something a little bit different. So first tip, downsize your lure. Second tip, slow down your retrieve. Let that lure hit the bottom. Let it stay in that strike zone a little bit longer. Those speckled trout, and I learned this from another YouTuber. I learned this from Cooper up north, thresher fishing in the Corpus area, the 361 area. Whenever you catch a speckled trout, always keep your eyes on a swivel, right? You don't want to be walking around willy-nilly and then you get hit by a stingray. But always look at the bottom of that speckled trout, and if you see little parasites, little leeches, or little things underneath it right here, that means that that trout is sitting on the bottom, and those parasites are going to be clinched onto the body, and that means that that speckled trout is sitting on the bottom. Now I know, hey bro, those speckled trout are on the bottom. Let me slow down my cadence. Let me slow down my retrieve. The next tip for you guys. This is one that I wrote down a while back, man, because I had a lot of buddies asking me about big speckled trout fishing, and then they would always say, bro, I don't catch speckled trout. And I'm like, do you wade or do you drift? A lot of the times people don't want to get in the water, or they just want to drift, and they're upset that they're catching, regular sized trout. They're not catching the big mama trout. I have seen people catch big trout drift fishing, yes. But if you want to increase your chances, if you want to increase the likelihood of it, you want to slow down your retrieves, downsize your lure. Also, when you're wade fishing, you can really pinpoint where you're casting, and you can really pick that area apart. Sometimes those big speckled trout are finicky, so you just need to cast. I always tell people cast like a pizza, man. You got 4 slices, and then once you start catching fish, then you break it up into 8 slices. Left, here, middle, here, right. And then once you start catching fish, you kind of slow down. You let your homies know. You let Jeremy and Hosa know, like he let me know one time, hey man, that they're biting on the drop. And I'm always learning, right? So when Jeremy and Hosa told me, hey bro, they're biting on the drop, what did? I slowed down my cadence. I kind of cast it in his direction, right? Because homie was catching all the fish. I'm like, bro, why aren't they biting my lure? But then I slowed it down and I let that lure drop all the way down to the bottom. And sure enough, I ended up hooking up to some more fish. 110 finesse eye. Nice, man. That's what I'm talking about. Those finesse eye jig heads are legit, man. They look really, really nice. I actually have not used them before, but good to know, man. Working out wade fish without a boat in South Padre Island. South Padre Island, I haven't been in a long time. The last 4 or 5 times I went to behind the IBC Bank in the convention center. And I also went, whenever you get to the end of that causeway on the right-hand side, I parked my truck right there. And I walked in. I think now it's like blocked off. And then the third time I actually went out to the Holly Beach area, and it was actually a while back, but I think now it's actually blocked off. And there's another spot in South Padre Island. If you drive along where the KOA is, there's a little spot where you can walk down, and there's like a little beach area, and then you can walk along the mangroves right there. Just be careful, man. You don't want to be trespassing or anything like that. So if you see any signs, just be super careful. But those are the spots that I've been in South Padre Island. What's up, man? It's been a while, brother. How you been? Good. Yeah, so South Padre Island, that's a good spot. Fishing the surf. Dude, Jeremy and Hosa knows what he's talking about, man. If this guy's spitting some knowledge, I would take his advice. If you're going to be fishing in the surf, just be super careful, man. Because in my line of work, I have responded before to people where they go a little too far in the water, and that gut and then that little eddy or that riptide pulls them away. So just be super careful if you're going to be fishing South Padre Island. There are some big trout there as well. I've caught a few trout. I've never caught anything huge. So yeah, man. So downsize your lure, slow down your retrieve, slow down your cadence, slow down your fishing in general, get off and wade. And then what I like to do is I always throw a leader line. I love throwing 10-pound Power Pro because it gives me that extra casting distance. If you're fishing in super windy water like this, or water where it's like overcast and there's like a lot of current in the water, that little 10-pound Power Pro braid, man, you can fling that lure. You can cast a little bit further than you would if you're only throwing 20-pound. And that extra casting distance makes a huge difference, especially during tournament times. These trout are heavily pressured, or these reds are heavily pressured for that matter during tournament time. So when you cast and you get that extra 5 to 10 feet of distance, it's going to put you in a higher chance or get you in that strike zone a little bit longer. And also, whenever you're walking, remember how I said they're heavily pressured whenever you're kicking your feet so you don't get that stingray to hit your foot. Whenever you're walking and you cast that lure out there, you're going to be able to cast that lure a little bit further. So those speckled trout that are like sitting like right at the edge of your casting distance, you'll be able to reach them. I've seen this when I'm fishing for redfish in a school of redfish and there's not much wind. I have 10-pound Power Pro. I can really cast that lure out there and I can get that lure in the strike zone and I can get that lure in that little school a little bit better as opposed to throwing something that's heavier. That's what I'm talking about. That was actually the last or one of the other tips that I have, man. The pink flash. I always throw pink. Why? Shrimp, right? This thing right here imitates a shrimp in the water, especially when it's overcast conditions. That little neon pink is gonna pop, man. Trust me. And whenever you pop it, it's gonna flash through the water. It's gonna dart through the water. And that neon color, there's just something about throwing pink in overcast conditions for a big speckled trout, and you're kind of in like a shallow water, like a muddy bottom area. That's usually where we go for the big trout. And you're popping, and you see that lure in the water because it's neon, overcast, popping, and all of a sudden you see that big silver flash. Ooh, and then that lure just disappears. Set the hook at an angle because you're popping and set the hook at an angle. And then you catch that big speckled trout. 23-inch trout. Congrats, brother. It's a solid trout, man. There's some big trout down here in South Texas, man. A lot of people are saying, oh, I had to go up north. I had to go up to Corpus Christi to catch a big trout. Bro, we have some big trout down here in the Port Mansfield area. Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's called Coastal Brew Bait. They're the big, like, 5-inch lures, right? They're like the dart-looking ones. Those are legit too, man. I haven't used them before, but I have a buddy up in Corpus that uses those all the time. And I'm always promoting local businesses, man, whether it's my lure or not. You got JRZ lures, AM lures, you got what's it called? RGV lures. You got Casting by Faith. Shout out to you, brother. I met you the other day out in at the FAR Port of Entry. Any local brands, man, whatever you want to throw. Also, if you want to get with the powerhouses that are out there as well, Berkeley Gulp, all that good stuff, you can do that as well. I just like using, of course, the Bay Villain, right? Because I designed this myself, and I've always wanted to create my own lure, create my own mold, create my own colors, and my own bag of lures, man. So since I was a kid, so once I finally did it, it's been a blessing, man. Yeah, for sure, man. I know they actually came out with a couple of new colors as well. Coastal Brew. Dang, man. Dang, dude. Congratulations. Over 30. Dirty 30. Congratulations, Miguel. If you want to send me an email, stoicoutdoors@gmail.com. Congrats, brother. Send me an email at stoicoutdoors. I don't know. I think it worked. stoicoutdoors@gmail.com, and I will get you a free pack of lures, man. Send me a picture. Send me whatever you got. I'll send you a free pack of lures, and I'll send you a cap as well, because that is awesome, man. Whenever someone catches a big trout or a big fish on my lure, it means the world to me, man. I actually have a buddy that won a trout division on the Pink Flash, and he said the same thing, man. He shrunk it down. He took off the ribs because those pancakes were a little bit finicky, and he got them to hit, man. He actually set it up on a double drop or a double tandem rig, 2 hooks. For off topic, man, ADHD brain kicking in. Whenever you throw a tandem rig, I always throw a 1/4 ounce on the bottom and a 1/8 ounce on top, or a 1/16 on top and a 1/8 ounce on the bottom. Why? Because you want that bottom lure to sit a little bit lower than that top lure. Yeah, you have that line, it's going to create some type of distance, but that extra little bit of weight actually makes a big difference, man. That lure is going to pop in the water a little bit differently as opposed to just throwing it regular. Bro, 31-inch trout, bro. That is huge, man. That is huge. Pothole Pimp. That's a cool name, bro. I like that. I'm guessing that's a color, right? What type of color is that, man? I have like 6 colors. I have a yellow. I got the red dragon, purple goblin, chartreuse. Man, I really like throwing chartreuse colors. And I am making a shrimp mode as well. It's just taking a little bit longer because of work and everything, right? Life gets in the way. But man, that's awesome, man. Awesome. What's up, big dog? How you been, man? Yeah, so big speckled trout, man. Shrink down your lure, slow your cadence, get off and wade, change your colors. That's another thing about me too, man. I know Jeremy Hinojosa knows this. Whenever I wade fish, I'm always giving my lure about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. If I don't catch anything, I'm switching colors. If I don't catch anything, I switch up my cadence. If I don't catch anything, I try to find out what those speckled trout want. And then I know, okay, this is how they want it. This is how they like it. And then I slow it down and I really pick that area apart, man. So if you guys have any other tips and tricks you want to share for those that are just starting off, comment down below, man. Big speckled trout fishing down here in South Texas, Port Mansfield, Arroyo City, South Padre Island, man. There are some big mamas down here. And right around this time, man, a little bit closer towards December, January, February, even early March, man, when it gets cold and raining, that's the big speckled trout weather, man. Big speckled trout weather. So that's cool, man. I see a lot of people like throwing the Coastal Brew. I'm glad they're getting more popularity down here. They're a cool company, man. I haven't met the owner. I'm not sure who the owner is. Down here in South Texas, we have a lot of legit companies as well that I always try to pick their brains, or I just try to promote them for that matter, right, man? But cool, guys. Those are just a quick tips I wanted to give you guys. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way through. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Remember, be resilient on the water and off. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe and stick around for the next episode of Stoic Live.